fail. So much for making a nice intro image. Well, that's all right. Hey guys, I thought I'd share a little bit about my experience doing the Yoga with Adriene 30-day challenge, which this year was called Dedicate, and it started in January 1st. I didn't start it till January 3rd, I think. I was a couple days behind. I think I started January 2nd or 3rd, and then I ended up skipping one day. I didn't skip it, but I missed one day, the day of Charlotte's birthday party, because we had friends over all day and I just didn't have a chance to get to it. But I guess that's my disclaimer. I did the 30 days. There was one day that I did push up a day because I couldn't get to it that day. But I did it. I did the program and it was amazing, and I just wanted to spend a little time talking more about it in case you're interested in yoga, on the fence about it, feeling a little nervous about it, or just interested in trying something different if you already practice yoga. So a little bit about my yoga story, I guess. I dabbled. I use that word with a lot of salt there. Not a grain of salt, a lot of salt. I dabbled in yoga in college. I had like a at-home video, like a DVD that I did in my dorm room, a little bit here and there. It was a very basic practice and I really didn't feel like I knew what I was doing, but I wanted to try it out. It's kind of as a balance to my other exercise. But I didn't really get into yoga, like really, until I graduated college and started going to a studio. I actually started going to, my mother-in-law was going to this yoga studio and she talked me into going. So we would go to class together every week. It was actually really nice time together, and then we'd go to a little coffee shop afterwards and sit down and catch up and have a little coffee bagel sort of thing. Anyway, I started going to a studio on a regular basis. I was 22 or 23, I mean, right after college. And that's when I got really, really hooked. I think having that little tiny bit of background with the DVD at home gave me enough confidence to go to a studio. I don't know why I feel like this can be a common experience, because I've heard other people talking about how it's a little bit intimidating going to a yoga class for the first time as a newbie. Like, you don't know the names of poses, you don't know what you're supposed to be doing, you don't really know what you're supposed to be wearing, maybe you don't even own a yoga mat. I'm here to tell you that please do not be afraid. Like, I know it's a little bit nerve-wracking, at least for some of us. It was for me for sure. If you feel that way, I strongly encourage doing something like the Yoga with Adriene program that gives you knowledge of basic yoga, terminology, poses, gear, all of that kind of stuff. I also do recommend going to a studio though. I think it's a nice experience. I feel like I learned a lot about alignment and proper, there's different theories on what proper yoga alignment is. I'm not going to go into that here, but what I feel like I learned from years and years of studio practice was how to find my own version of perfect alignment. Because this is one of the things I love about Adriene, by the way. She emphasizes that we all have different bodies and we're not all necessarily going to feel aligned in the same way, in the same poses. I've definitely been in yoga classes and with yoga instructors who, although well-intentioned, I've never had like an ill-intentioned yoga teacher. That kind of goes against the whole like spiel, but they just think that there's only one way, or that's kind of what they encourage, one way to align, one way to look in a pose, and that I find very frustrating. I really don't like that at all. The yoga teachers that I have stuck with over the years, especially, you know, I haven't been in a studio practice for a long time since having kids. I hope to get back to that actually. That's one of my goals for kind of the second half of this year as my baby gets a bit more independent, is to find time to get to a yoga studio class once a week. But anyway, I have sought out teachers and stuck with teachers who emphasize that you know your body best and they can help you with adjustments and encouragement and just, you know, modeling different things to try to find what works for you, instead of saying this is what you have to do. As soon as I get to a yoga class, I know within 5 minutes if the teacher is going to be that it's my way or the highway, or you do you boo kind of teacher, and I don't go back if it's the my way or the highway kind of lady. Nothing against them if that's their spiel, but that just doesn't work for me. And I really, really encourage you to find instructors that, it's kind of like finding a therapist. I feel like you have to try out different people before you find the right fit. And you'll know that once you find like your favorite yoga teacher, you make a point to get to their classes as often as possible. I don't know, I feel like yoga is such a connective experience. I don't know if that's the word, connective. I might have just made that up, but that's how I feel about it. It connects you to you, but also you to others in a group setting. So anyway, back to my yoga story. I started getting really, really into going to the studio, and I was going several times a week. And over the course of about a decade, I would say I went through 3 or 4 phases of types of yoga. So I started out with very kind of run-of-your-mill basic yoga. I'm not like, for being a long-time practitioner, I'm actually not very well versed in like the terminology and the labels, but it was like a general vinyasa flow kind of hatha kind of vibe. And then I got super into Ashtanga yoga, which is very regimented. You follow the same series of poses, and it can be extremely athletic, I would say. And then after that, I got into more like power yoga. I could never do the hot yoga thing because I get really claustrophobic when I get overheated, so I can't do the hot yoga classes. That's where they like heat the room up to like a bajillion degrees, and I just can't do that. But I got really into like power flows. That was a lot about strength. And it was, you know, fit like aerobically challenging as well. And then I kind of like, after 5, 6, 7 years of doing that kind of like more intense Ashtanga and then the power flow classes, I went completely flip-flopped and went like whole hog into Yin Yoga, which is it's restorative yoga, and it's where you hold deep stretches for like 2, 3, 4 minutes at a time. And it really, it's almost like a mental workout, because it is hard to hold those things, especially when, you know, your body is tight and you're working through tension. It's meant to target the how do you say it? I don't know how to say it. The connective tissue, myofascia. I'm not saying it right. I know I'm not, but whatever. It's supposed to like go even past muscle stretch to do like connective tissue stretch. And I was really into Yin Yoga right before I got pregnant. For a couple of years, I did solely Yin Yoga basically. And that's when I got pregnant, I stopped going to class. I still went to Yin Yoga class up through about 6 months of my pregnancy with my first child, and then it just got too hard with the belly to do the poses. So I started doing, and during that time I was doing at-home prenatal yoga too. So I just continued with my prenatal yoga, and then I haven't been back to a studio since, basically. And I kind of stopped practicing full stop after Charlotte was born, minus a couple like dabbling in at-home things. Up until this January, I discovered Yoga with Adriene, who's extraordinarily popular right now, and I, for obvious reasons, she's an amazing instructor and just very warm and friendly and receptive and welcoming, and you feel like you're in the room with her when she's on the screen. I think that's a really good indication of somebody you want to watch on YouTube, when you feel like you're in the room with them and you feel comfortable with them and they seem comfortable with you. It's almost like you're connecting for real, even though you're not, this is a screen and time and space and all sorts of things separating you. It doesn't feel like that. Anyway, I found her through Allie Edwards. You guys know I talk about her so much. She's my memory keeping guru. I love her, and I love her stuff, and I love her whole vibe. And she's been raving about Yoga with Adriene since last January, when she did her challenge last January. And I was just really pregnant at that time. I was 9 months, about to have my second baby. So I couldn't pick up a challenge at that time, but that's when that like stuck in my mind, and I thought to myself, maybe next year I'll try that challenge because that sounds interesting. Well, I had kind of an intense December. I just felt like, what's the saying where you burn the candle at both ends? I felt like, for me, I was burning the candle at both ends, and it worked. It worked fine. I had enough. I had the creative energy, and I just had the energy for it in December, and then I knew as soon as Christmas came, I came crashing down. Literally, like I was basically almost manic, like energy come mid-December up through Christmas, because I just had so much creative energy and so much I wanted to share and do, and with personal stuff and content I was making and all that. There was just a lot of energy, and then Christmas came and we were in Utah and I came crashing down. I was like, okay, I need to do something different in January. I need to carve out some very specific dedicated time to connecting with myself and taking things down, like not a notch, but like 20,000 notches. Like let's take the energy down just from like woo to like down here, okay, and recalibrate. And I thought, what better way than to sign up for the Dedicate program. It's completely free. Another awesome thing about Adriene, she does what she can to make almost all of her content is free. She does have a membership site where you can get all of her videos that she posts on YouTube without ads, as well as some additional content that is just for the membership community. It's $10 a month. I did sign up a couple of weeks ago because A, I want that access, and B, I like supporting content creators that I am, enthusiastic about in that way, because I can and I want to. So I did become a member, and I haven't really delved into the membership site yet, but I'm glad to have it there, and I feel like I'm going to be delving into it more. She also has a free community website if you want to like interact with people who are in the Yoga with Adriene community, which is cool too. She and her creative partner Christopher, I don't know, she talks about him a lot. I feel like Chris, maybe that's his name. Anyway, the man who films and produces all of her videos, they obviously have put a lot of thought and very intentional, thought and care into the community, into the free YouTube, into the paid community, into paid membership, into the community that's separate from YouTube. I mean, it's a really very cohesive unit of content creation. I, as a content creator, marvel at it. It obviously takes a lot of work. I don't think if I wasn't a content creator, I don't think I would consider how much work goes into making something that seamless, and that, because it doesn't seem like it. Like you're a consumer of that content, you're like, oh, well, they're just making videos and editing them. There's a lot that goes behind all of that. And I like how they make it look effortless. They make it look like they didn't try that hard, and they don't talk about, they don't emphasize that. And it's just, I don't know, it's a really seamless experience, but a really casual, warm, welcoming from all three, all three areas that they share on YouTube, their community, and their membership. It's beautifully done. And I think that's one of the things that makes her videos so great, is that she also presents yoga in that way. She's obviously extremely knowledgeable and an advanced practitioner, but she makes it so easy to digest, so easy to watch and understand and follow. And she does incorporate a lot of the mental side of yoga and the emotional side and the spiritual side without kind of hitting you over the head with it. I feel like some yoga instructors, especially online, have found, just from a handful that I've watched, can be a little bit in your face about that kind of stuff. And she does it in just such a palatable way. It's just so easy to practice with her. Even when you're doing hard things, she makes it feel easy, accessible, doable. And you should totally start with her. If you're new, I can't recommend anybody more to start with, especially if you don't want to go to a studio. Like I said, I do recommend going to a studio if you get into the practice and you're like, I'm loving this. It can be expensive, but I think to go, even once a month or once every other week or once a week or however much you can swing it, find a teacher that you connect with. There's something that you cannot get from a home practice. There's many things you cannot get from a home practice. A home practice is wonderful, but there's something about being in a classroom with live bodies, with other people, because there's a lot of energy going around. And I don't mean to sound hit you over the head, woo-woo with all this, but it really is. There's a vibe and an energy. If you're in the right class and you feel good and comfortable in that class, which that means is the right class for you and the right teacher for you, you can't get that. I mean, I think Adriene is the closest you can get with it on a screen, but you really cannot get that at home, because you need to be around other people to get that. And also just in terms of strengthening your practice, advancing how you practice, it's so helpful to have another person who can adjust you, who can show you different things, who can teach you, literally. There's a lot you can do at home and online in the comfort of your own home, but I think if you want to progress really in figuring out, it just helps you kind of figure out how to feel your way in your body when you have that experience in a studio with somebody who's going to physically, give you some adjustments. Adjustments used to creep the heck out of me when I was a newbie, especially somebody with anxiety and just in new situations. It just freaked me out a little bit. But after a couple of yoga classes, I was like, no, this is actually really good, because I got over myself, and I was like, and then since nobody's really grabbing you or groping you or anything weird like that, but it's just a little, maybe they'll just gently shift your hips one way, or shift a foot in a way, or rotate an arm for you, or whatever they're doing that you might not have been known to do on your own, even through self-adjusting. And then somebody else does it, and you're like, and something clicks, and you're like, oh, that feels good, or oh, that does not feel good, I don't want to do that. So yeah, that's my whole spiel. The Dedicate program itself was just incredible. It's 30 days of extremely accessible content, free, literally accessible, but also just in terms of physically doing it and emotionally being able to handle it and all that. It's It was so well thought out. It is so well produced. She makes you feel like you're sitting there in the room with her. You have no idea. She's got like a whole crew behind the camera, like making this happen, because she's just so relatable. She's got a great sense of humor. I find her very funny. She's obviously around my age because a lot of her like references I understand in terms of like, I don't know, things from the 90s and things. She starts out really nice and slow. It's a very anchoring beginning practice. It's a lot of just mind-body awareness and kind of getting yourself on the mat and the importance of that. And then through the course of the series, she very naturally and easily progresses the practice to be more of a traditional flow. But I think it's just a wonderful starting point. You can start anytime. You didn't have to start in January. It's on her YouTube channel. It's always there. It's always free. You can still sign up at the link. I loved the daily emails I got because they just got me pumped for the practice. They're short. It's not like I'm reading some novel from her every day. It's like it took me like 2 minutes to read the email every day, and I read it before each practice. She included a quote and talked a little bit about the theme for the practice. Each day had a different theme, and she really ties in all that she creates in the, in the anchor and the foundation of the practice in the beginning. She really ties that in and grows that very organically with you throughout the practice. And then at the end of it, I just felt completely rejuvenated. So how I approached this is after I put the kids down for their nap every day at like 1:15, 1:30, I go and I unroll the mat. Each practice is on average 20 to 30 minutes, so very accessible in terms of time. I would do the practice. I like to do practice yoga when my body is nice and warm, but not too close to a meal. So I would start practicing at 1:30. We eat lunch at noon. So definitely warm midday. Maybe a little close to lunch, but you figure these things out, what works for you in terms of eating and practicing on what kind of stomach, full, empty, whatever. It was perfect for me because it forced me to take a half an hour to just do that for myself. And then I ran around for the rest of the nap time, like doing laundry and dishes and working on, content, whatever. But it kind of just forced me every day to have that 30-minute window, to work on yoga. And it was lovely. It was wonderful. Anyway, I don't want to talk too long in this video. I feel like I gave you a pretty good sense of my yoga story and my experience with the practice. I'm continuing on with daily yoga. She releases a monthly calendar, absolutely free, with all of her free videos on YouTube. There are no strings attached to this. Like, you do not have to join the paid community. That's only if you want to support her in that way. And I mean the paid membership or whatever it is. The community thing is free. I'm getting my terminology mixed up. But anyway, she has a February calendar. The practices are shorter even. They're more like, they average, I would say 15, 20 minutes instead of 20 to 30. And so she has a different monthly calendar every month, or you can just, pick and choose at she's got a huge library on YouTube of videos, like a huge library. And she releases a new YouTube video every week when it's not like the month of January where she's doing one every day. So, and you can even do the challenge from last January. I think it was called True, and I hope to do that at some point. That's kind of in my mind for this year. Maybe mid-year, like a July or August, I'll do True, because I want to do that. Anyway, I can't recommend it enough. I really felt like I reconnected with yoga. I reconnected with my joy of practicing. I reconnected with myself. Is regrounded a word? Well, I did that. I regrounded myself after just the chaos of December. It was all joyful chaos, but it was chaos. I felt like I really brought myself back down to earth and started the year off feeling really, really grounded and good. And I feel myself getting stronger. It's very subtle, the strength building she does, but it's definitely doing something. And my balance is getting better, and I'm just feeling that is definitely having a ripple effect on me in my other areas of my life. just feeling more grounded and balanced and calmer. And it's lovely. Anyway, I'd love to know if you've been practicing with Adriene, or if you have a regular practice that you do in studio or at home, how that's going for you, what kind of yoga you're into, your yoga story, if you care to share. And I hope this was helpful to you in some way, and that you're having a wonderful day. Thank you so, so much for watching, guys. I hope you are all well, and I will see you real soon. Take care. Bye.